Okay. Now, we're going to get to this. I can barely contain my excitement to explain this to you. Alright? We're going to get right into this. Now, if you guys remember, I explained this to you. Okay, how from January 20th, 2017 to May 29th, 2020 was 1,225 days. 1225 as in Christmas Day. Showing you, and I remember I said that the Lord showed me how this is what they were pointing to with Christmas. It had nothing to do with the date of December 25th. Alright, that's past already. It was never about December 25th. The 1225 had a hidden meaning. They were pointing to Shavuot. Shavuot on the Jewish calendar of 2020 was May 29th of this year, 2020. And from January 20th, 2017, when Obama received the political head wound, they were pointing to him resurrecting, him coming back into power, onto the scene, 1225. That's why, remember, the winter solstice thing, 1221 is the day that the sun appeared to die. And then there was the rebirth of the sun god, Dies Natalis, Sol Invictus. The rebirth of the sun god on 1225. That's what they were pointing to. The sun god being reborn from his political head wound, coming back at Shavuot, May 29th, 2020. Okay, that's what the 1225 was. Now, if you guys remember, if you look down here, let's skip all the way down to here, okay? I said to you how in I Pent Gut, the lotus flower. Now, what do I mean by that? Remember, in I Pent Gut, picture, if you need to, stop this video after I'm finished here. You can stop the video and go watch it yourself and come back here. Remember, in I Pent Gut, when the apple, which represents, the girl sitting on the floor, the woman, she represents the woman in Revelation 12, Virgo. She's sitting on the floor inside of a yellow circle, so clothed with the sun. And she's got the smaller object outside the yellow circle. The smaller object represents the moon under her feet, and she's got a crown of 12 stars. There's 12 figures around her that represent the 12 stars, okay? And it says she's giving birth. Remember, you see the apple. She drops the apple. She's holding it in her midsection, representing her child, and then she drops it, and it rolls across the floor. Past, you see the letters on the floor, CV, coronavirus, but also it looks like a C7, as in covenant for 7, the 7th year of the covenant, this year, 2020. The apple rolls to the feet of Obama, the Antichrist, and remember, he's sweating because he's in fear of what's about to happen to him. He knows he must receive a head wound, a literal head wound, and be shot in the head in order to be incarnated by his father, Satan, when Satan is cast out. So the apple rolls to Obama's feet, and it opens up. And remember, I said it reveals, it's a lotus flower. It has 12 stamen. 12 is the intersection of the flower, and 25 petals. You could pause the video when the flower opens up and count it for yourself. The intersection, there's 12 pieces to the intersection of the inner middle section of the flower. And the petals on the outside, there's 25 of them. They were pointing to the 1225, which brings us back up here, telling you that Shavuot of 2020 was the time for him to recover, the rebirth of the sun god, the Christmas, the resurrection, okay? The sun dying and being reborn after its 3 days, or in this case, 3 years of political death. Now, a few days before May 29th, a few days before Shavuot, though, and I had Pentecost here because we as Christians, it's the same thing. Shavuot is Pentecost, but we as Christians always celebrate it on a Sunday, so we celebrated it 2 days later on May 31st. But when you count it the way it's supposed to from the Bible, from the 10th of Nisan, the 16th of Nisan, the first day that you present the Omer of the first fruits, April 10th, 50 days takes you to May 29th. But it's okay. We Christians always celebrate it on a Sunday, so we celebrated it on May 31st. But a few days before Pentecost happened, I received spiritual notification from the Lord that there were some things I was missing. I was sitting there. I can't even remember what I was doing, but I remember in the spirit, I literally heard, late, says the white rabbit. That's what I heard. Late, says the white rabbit. And in my mind, I had felt stirred up to watch the movie Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. I'm going to get to a scene in that movie in a minute But I felt stirred up to watch that. And when I heard late says the white rabbit, I immediately knew, I remembered that was a line from the movie. And I automatically knew the significance of that. It pointed to the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. But the Lord wanted me to Google and see something about the white rabbit. Now, watch this. What you also see in iPet Goat is that on the wall behind the girl who represents Virgo, the woman giving birth, the room is darkened, but there's only two things illuminated. The girl herself is illuminated because she's about to give birth, but on the wall behind her, you see an illuminated white rabbit. A white rabbit that is illuminated. Now, I thought that was pointing towards Easter, but it's not. It was showing us the timing of Easter, but making the connection that Easter represents first fruits, which points to 50 days later, Shavuot. But you see a white rabbit in there, and I immediately said, that's the connection to Alice in Wonderland. The white rabbit is late. Now, here's the thing God wanted me to see. I immediately knew in my spirit I needed to Google the white rabbit. And this is what I did not know. For those who don't know, in Alice in Wonderland, the rabbit is in a hurry, saying that he is late. He says, I'm late. He says, I'm late for an important date. So clearly they're showing you, because we know that it's satanic. We know that, all media basically is satanic. We know it's from the enemy. The enemy hides things in plain sight. Telling you that even though he's showing his watch, he says, I'm late for an important date. Not an important time, an important date. What I did not know until I Googled it is that the time on the rabbit's watch is always, whenever you see him, his watch always has 12:25. 12:25 is the time on his watch. He says, I'm late for an important date. I received that in the spirit a few days before Pentecost, and I immediately knew that the rapture and these events were not going to happen at Pentecost, that there is still a delay. For what reason? What would be the reason for the delay? I'm going to get to that in part 2 of this video, but I needed you to understand that the white rabbit is late. And in iPet Goat, they showed you a highlighted white rabbit, that this was the time of the birth, Shavuot, Pentecost, but that it would not happen then. That's why the white rabbit is highlighted in iPet Goat behind the girl giving birth. The birth is going to happen a little bit later. I'm going to show you right now in part 2 when they were talking about. What is it they're pointing to? If it's not 12:25 Pentecost, how long after that? I'm going to show you this right now. You have got to stay tuned for this and make this go viral. The timing is right now in the month of June. I'm going to show you this.